Οπότε εντάξει, δεν έχουμε να περιμένουμε, ξέρω εγώ, άμα τυχόν μπει και τα λοιπά. Φεύγουμε κιόλας αύριο με ταξίδι και τα λοιπά, να ξεκινήσουμε να τελειώνουμε. Σωστά. Να σου πω, έχεις κάτσει ακριβώς στη λάμπα και καίει το βίντεο σου.
Αυτό προσπαθώ να αλλάξω.
Σπάς τη λάμπα, Θεό. Σπύρο, σε ποια περιοχή μένεις?
Στο Ηράκλειο. Δυστυχώς.
Κρήτης.
Είναι χάλια. Δεν μεγάλωσα εδώ. Μεγάλωσα στο Χαλάνδρι, γι' αυτό.
Εντάξει. Ναι.
Δεν είναι το ίδιο. Τέλος πάντων.
Ναι.
Εσύ πού μένεις?
Εγώ μένω Άνοιξη.
Εδώ δίπλα.
Δεν βαριέσαι, όλα Αττική είναι.
Κάνει ίντερνετ εκεί. Καλά σε βλέπω.
Ψυχή μου το ξέρει. Λοιπόν, δύο πράγματα πριν ξεκινήσουμε. Την άλλη Τρίτη δεν θα κάνουμε, γιατί θα λείπουμε, ξέρω εγώ. Και τα είδατε τα βίντεο, το κάνατε που θέλατε και δύο section μαζί?
Το ένα ήταν το footwork.
Ναι. Όχι, το ένα ήταν συνέχεια του short teaching mechanism.
Lifts και lobs ήταν το πρώτο, ναι.
Ναι. Το άλλο είχε αρκετό πράγμα.
Είχε πολύ πράγμα, ναι.
Οπότε να ρωτήσω τι έχετε κάνει από αυτό, όλο.
Εγώ το έχω δει εκτός, νομίζω, από το τελευταίο βίντεο. Ή το είδα λίγο μισό το τελευταίο.
Okay. Okay. Εσύ, Έκτορα, πότε τα έχεις δει αυτά? Τότε πιο παλιά ή τα έχεις δει και πιο πρόσφατα?
Πιο πρόσφατα δεν τα έχω δει, όχι. Τα έχω δει... Τα βλέπω αναπεριόδους. Τώρα πρόσφατα, ας πούμε, δεν έχω δει.
Εγώ όποτε τα βλέπω τώρα, για να θυμηθώ λίγο, για να ξεκινήσουμε τη συζήτηση, τρομάζω. Γιατί λέω, ρε Πούστη, πολλή δουλειά έκανα. Άντε τώρα την ξανακάνω αυτή τη δουλειά. Γάμισέ τα, βαριέμαι. Δεν τα θυμάμαι κιόλας. Ξέρω εγώ τι όρεξη είχα τότε και τα έλεγα όλα αυτά. Πού τα βρίσκα και τα έλεγα. Γάμισέ τα. Anyway, okay. So let's begin. Our today's topic is not about the shot teaching mechanism. You just saw 2 or 3 more videos about specific shots and their mechanism and their teaching mechanism. So, of course, if you have any question, we will discuss about it. And it was a new part, the second part, so to speak, and it's about sequences using the technique while moving. It's closer to playing. So this is why we saw notions such as synthesis of practice, structure of practice, and all these practice schedules and contextual interference effects, which actually also apply to the shot teaching mechanism as well, to the skill learning part. But they are more closely related. For example, contextual interference and degrees of freedom, they are more closely related to practice schedules. If you do motor learning, if you read a book, it is the chapter where you will find them together, so to speak, okay? Or it will be in this section of the book. Do you have any questions or any comments?
Yes, I was watched your video, and I think that I take a new informations about how to make the training better, and how I use the sequences, the biomedical model, and how to use the skills on a practice, how I make the training and have a plan. And all the drill structure I was watched are very nice, and it was on the point.
Okay.
And of course, I work on the movement, the videos too. It's something that it gives to our athletes more rhythm on their shot, how they open their racket back, how they do the footwork steps, and how they get to the ball, how they stroke the ball, how they hitting the
Okay.
ball and hit.
Thank you for sharing your perspective. Do we have any questions though? Okay, while you're thinking your questions, I want to make a small addition. And to say, for example, what is new, what belongs to the digital method, and what is or should be common ground. So synthesis and structure, this is the first time one proposes such an idea, not only in the tennis digital method or in the tennis world, but anywhere in sports. This is a novel concept. And also about schedules, practice schedules. We have blocked practice and varied practice, serial and random. And I introduced also motor words practice, okay, which is between serial and random practice. And this is very important. Why? Because random practice is the most important form of practice for learning. But maybe the step from serial practice to random practice is a bit too big to be made. So motor words bridge this gap. And to tell you, so to speak, an anecdote about the motor words, about the research I publish in peer-reviewed journals. So there are papers that I consider them really good, and they get rejected again and again. And sometimes there are papers that it took me 2 years before they were accepted to a journal. This happens to everybody. It's not only me, of course. This is very business as usual in academia. There are other papers that I don't really consider them as something so important, but you know, still important. For example, motor words. The paper for the motor words was, of course, it's a novel notion, but you know, I just think that I offered other ideas that were more important anyway. But the motor words paper was immediately accepted in a very good journal, which journal declined another paper of mine, which I considered even better than motor words, and I had a really great trouble publishing it, and you know, restructuring it, rewriting it, and so on and so forth. So motor words is very important in practice schedules. Structure is very important, and if someone understands these notions, then that someone has made a very big step towards understanding how to link the usual practice we do inside the court with performance practice and with competitive tennis. Okay, there is always a missing link somewhere there, if you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? Do you? Please answer.
Yes.
You fully covered me. Spiro?
I wanted
Yes?
I was losing something on the end because you don't have a good internet connection.
Okay, which part would that be?
The last, as you said, about the motor skills.
About models. Okay, what I said last is that this is a way to connect practice with performance. Doing drills with competitive performance. Okay, so structure and motor words, for example, and as we will see in the next sections, differential learning and differential self-learning. These are all bridges to connect practice with competitive performance. So, Hector, you were about to ask something, I think.
Yes, just a clarification, because in the video, the last discussion we had, which was about the shot teaching mechanism, the basic shots, is inputted in the shot in the 6th chapter of the Lifts and Lobes. Maybe you want to check that, because I think this discussion right here will be the one that will be inserted in this one, no?
I'm really not sure I understood. So we have the 5th section, the shot teaching mechanism. Then we have the 6th section, which is an addendum. And then we have the 7th section, which is the first section of the second part, which is about synthesis, sequences.
Yes.
So,
but in the discussion, we didn't talk about lifts and lobes, except if you connected the shot teaching mechanism in the one discussion. Then
you mean in the last video, in the last discussion?
Yes.
Yes, it was for today. So, do you have anything to add about lifts and lobes as well?
About the lifts and lobes, I'm pretty much covered. It was a short chapter and pretty easily understood and explained, especially if you have seen the other chapters about the shot teaching mechanism. And my question was more about the footwork. And as you know, I want to understand better the difference about synthesis and structure, which it's truly a novel idea, and I haven't heard about it anywhere before. So I would really like an explanation. Now the question about footwork. Yes.
A short answer to this is that also the footwork is not unique to the distal method. I mean, other systems have footwork. They don't have, for example, drill structure, but they do have footwork. But the specific footwork patterns presented in the distal method are unique to the distal method. Okay, so they are counted based on the movement of the arm, and the basic rhythm is 3. Okay, so you combine this basic rhythm, which is also practiced on the ladder. You combine it with 2, 4, or 6 steps. Okay, and 2 is the most easy. Then you go to 4, and then you go to 6, and then you mix them. And then you see special cases such as hitting on the run. Hitting on the run is not after 6 steps, because the ball can be so fast that you merely have the time to take 2 or 4 steps. Okay, so maybe you hit on the run doing less steps than 6, of course. Okay. So do you want anything else more specific about the footwork? And I explained that you don't know what is the ball and stuff like that.
Yes. Okay, then I'm fine. one more thing I wanted to clarify, because maybe some other coaches will see this video and maybe they will
Okay.
have a question. It should be good to be made in this discussion.
Okay.
I asked you this before while working together in some of the days that we are. When we step into the ball and we need to transfer the weight, a lot of coaches, and I was kind of shown it, when I was a player, they kind of showed it to me this way. It's mostly about stepping sideways and turning and hitting. And remember, I told you that it would be better if when you step into the ball, the front toe or your the front of your foot is more diagonal or more straight, so you can transfer your weight a little bit better. This is something I wanted to clarify.
I didn't get that.
So when I see in the video and you step into the ball, your front foot is always in the front. The toes is always pointing in the net.
Okay,
So-
or maybe it's pointing even better towards the contact point.
Towards the contact point. So yes, I just wanted to clarify that, because a lot of times.
No, sorry. Towards as much towards not the contact point, the universal reference point as possible. This is not always super easy and super possible, but this is, let's say, the idea that we're trying to have our front legs, toes pointing towards the universal reference point as much as possible.
And by sequence towards the target, because the universal reference point needs to be always towards the target. that
Yes,
you are,
but okay, but you have to understand that the simplest pattern is going forward, and as I'm going forward towards the net, that is, at some point I have to go towards the ball, which is not in front of me anymore, and it's a bit to the sideways. But again, it is a forward model, the moving forward model. There is a limit, a transitional point, from when on my moving pattern is not moving forward anymore, and it's going sideways. Okay, now, when this happens, it's actually very, very difficult to have my front legs, toes to point to the universal reference point or to the target I want to hit. Okay, so I start doing compromisations from a point on, and that's understandable. I mean, it's trying to apply a perfect, so to speak, a theoretical model in action. So there are always limits to what I can do. For example, there are limits to the way my body can move. I can't go 90 degrees from the net to the side and always be able to position myself perfectly. I don't even have the time to do that. Okay.
okay.
So this is a consideration, which model I have. Another consideration is that the first model and the simplest one is the forward moving model, which is forward and sideways up to a point. I mean, it's not the sideways model, it's moving forward, but from a point on, let's say from here and on, if I go here, this is moving sideways, and it's another model. And if I move...
we are watching on the next videos how to run on side, because on this video on the footwork, you run front of the net and you're approaching the net and you go cross. The side way. Are we watch that? Do we have something about that?
The side way is let me try to bring the videos in my mind a bit. Okay, so for example, okay,
Because if
when-
I remember, we watched only approach and cross, not on side.
okay, it was discussed a bit on hitting on the run, and it was discussed when explaining that in the backhand, you have to go forward, and if you are to go to the side, then footwork starts to count from the time you are turned sideways. So I was saying that because you have first to turn and then to run, if you go sideways, it's a more advanced model. Because even if you go a bit diagonally to the ball, that's not going sideways. It's not using the sideways model. It's just going forward, but with a bit of inclination. But if you have to go sideways, then the most important change, there are two important changes. The first one is how you start your movement. So you have to first turn. You don't just start running. You have to first turn and then start running. So this adds complexity. And the second is that when hitting the ball, you no longer have the maximum benefit of your own momentum. You have to use your arm more. And in extreme conditions, you even have a disadvantage if it's too sideways. So you start going, so to speak, a bit also backwards. So that's almost a third model. And you have to hit something like a lift or a lob there. Because it's more than 90 degrees. You and the ball, it's more than 90 degrees. So it's an acute angle, and you can't have, you can't use your momentum there. And okay, are you covered about the footwork, generally speaking? Okay, don't forget the small jump as well. This is very important in examining the footwork. And now about okay, that's a good opportunity. I will show you, because I always mention it, but since I'm at my house, I can also demonstrate it. Okay, so this is a classical guitar, a really good one. So I have to be very careful. So let's see synthesis and structure here. Okay. Okay, so let's say, for example, okay, enough said. So let's just say that let's make a connection between playing the guitar and playing a tennis match. Okay, so I'm playing a musical piece. You can, of course, understand that I'm playing music. Okay, so this is a musical piece. And now let's go to synthesis. So in synthesis, I will just move my fingers on the fret so that I will train them. So for example, I may play a chromatic scale like this, the fret. So this is called the fret. Okay, this is just an exercise. So this is like synthesis. It's not music. I just use movements and I train my fingers. Okay. So synthesis also exists in, let's say, tennis. It's when a coach says hit one forehand and hit one backhand. And then we have, or I can have arpeggios. Okay, let's see arpeggios. So I train my, where is the camera? I train my right hand. So this is, again, let's say a drill, an exercise, synthesis. I just play a scale with arpeggios. It's the same. It's the same arpeggio, and I'm just playing the same. Okay. So consider that, for example, Villa-Lobos wrote an etude. What is an etude? An etude is a musical piece that sounds like music, but actually it's for practicing something specific. So, for example, an etude for arpeggios, like the exercise I did, is this one. So it's more like a song, but it's not meant to be a song. It's meant to practice your technique. Okay.
This is structure.
Sorry?
This is structure.
This is structure. This is not synthesis, it's structure. Okay. Because in music we have, exactly, we have structure. So you can, it's like a song, okay. It has very interesting harmonic relationships, but it's not a song. Okay, I mean, you can play it even in a concert, but everybody knows that it's an etude. Etude means a study. Okay.
Okay.
So I have transferred, and this is a very, very important notion in music, the notion of etudes. There are books, there are methods that consist of etudes and so on. So it's structuring in music is very important. So this is the same in playing tennis. There are etudes, for example, that you practice playing aggressively or playing with a very special idea in mind. Okay, you can practice anything, but they are to practice their purpose. Okay, and this is the very important criterion. Their purpose is to improve you as a performer. This is the purpose. This is the initial purpose. It's not. It's their purpose wasn't in the mind of the composer to be a very interesting musical piece. Someone who doesn't know, for example, anything about music might hear a Chopin etude and say, "Ah, what a beautiful musical piece!" And it is a beautiful musical piece, but Chopin wrote it as an exercise. It's a very nice exercise, but it is an exercise. Sometimes even musicians forget it is an exercise, but it is an exercise. And of course, there are many levels of etudes. There are etudes that are really close to synthesis, okay, like they are very simplistic. And there are other etudes that are so complicated and so rich that you say, come on, I mean, that's like a musical piece. And yes, there is this transitional point as well, where you go from an etude to a musical piece. And this is where everything comes together, that we have a continuum from the two basic models, SBML and FSSB, to performing, to competitive tennis. So I don't know if that was a bit more understandable now.
Is how to passing the levels. You starting from the bottom and
Bottom
then
up. You win a
give-
tournament, you go to a bar and you take a glass of wine or beer and you say bottoms up. Is that the phrase, right?
No, you start from the beginning and then you give
Yes,
more.
yes,
give-
yes, you said it correctly. Yes, exactly.
You give more things to the player, to the training, and give more, and then he can play in a competition.
So, okay, nice. Is it clearer now, Hector? Is it clearer? Hector?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the example helped me a lot.
Okay, I'm very glad. So, are we finished for today?
Okay.
I think so. If there is nothing more to add.
No, it's we've been here for 40 minutes. I think we've said the most important things. So thank you very much and see you the next time.
All right. Bye.
Σας χαιρετώ. Την επόμενη φορά θα δούμε προφανώς το 8. Το οποίο δεν ξέρω αν πρέπει να το βάλω και πριν το 7. Μάλλον πριν το 7 έπρεπε να μπει το SBML και το SFSB. Αλλά τέλος πάντων τώρα δείτε το εσείς το 8 που είναι έτσι κι αλλιώς επόμενο. Οκ, λοιπόν, χαιρετώ.
Έγινε.
Έκτορα, ξεκινάω σιγά σιγά. Θα κάνω ένα ντους βασικά και σε 5 λεπτά ξεκινάω.
Εγώ.
Όταν πλησιάζω, θα σε πάρω να μου θυμίσεις που έρχομαι.
Οκ.
Οκ, άντε, τα λέμε σε λίγο, φιλιά.